Today I want to talk a little about negotiating the sale of a home. I have tips for both sellers and buyers, and I think this topic is always critical because I see so many mistakes being made when we receive offers on our listings or when we make offers on other listings. The first thing you should know is that real estate agents do not typically receive any training on sales negotiations. It isn't a requirement for licensure in Florida, and I suspect it doesn't show up in real estate licensing courses in other states either. If you mishandle the negotiation on a home, several things will possibly happen, and all of them are bad. First and foremost, you'll leave money on the table through either a bad sales price or the terms that are negotiated. Today, buyers are losing out on homes they want to buy, and it's often due to poor positioning in the negotiation. And while we are in the midst of a historic seller's market, I'm seeing sellers leave money on the table even when they have multiple offers. Please take the few short minutes it takes to watch this video in its entirety, as you'll see how to adapt your negotiation posture to current market conditions. Today, most of the market is short on inventory and facing very favorable conditions for sellers, but there are still some areas and price ranges that exist in buyer's market or balanced market states too. I've addressed all 5 different market conditions possible that you might face when it comes to negotiating your next home sale or purchase. This knowledge will help you prepare to adapt your negotiation position to parallel what the market bears. Of course, sellers often have the advantage of determining their own market conditions as they set the asking price for the home when it first hits the market. Price the home too high, and it'll be a buyer's market. Price it too low, they might end up leaving money on the table. But price the home correctly, and sellers can sell their home in seller's market conditions despite what the prevailing conditions are all around them. If you'd like to know more about why it's always a seller's market in real estate, just click the link below the video. The 5 different market conditions that you will face range from a strong seller's market to a slight seller's market to a balanced market, a slight buyer's market, or even a strong buyer's market. Each condition requires you to adjust your plan of attack. Since most of us are facing a strong seller's market today, I'll start with that and work my way through all 5 conditions. Bear in mind, my 30 years of experience selling homes in Tallahassee has shown me that buyers and sellers alike instinctively all want to use the same negotiation style, regardless of conditions, so they are often disappointed with their first go at the market. Don't let this be your experience. Hi, I'm Joe Manausa, author of The Business of Getting Business and the creator of Manausa.com, where I've helped tens of thousands of people buy and sell homes. I would like to help you too. If you already are a subscriber, thank you and welcome back. If you're not a subscriber, please consider becoming one now. We offer the most thorough and accurate housing market reports on YouTube, plus answers to your real estate frequently asked questions, and we also provide virtual tours of some of the most beautiful homes in Tallahassee. Please remember to like this video, then hit subscribe and click the bell so that you're the most informed buyer or seller in your next real estate transaction. I have prepared a graph that visually depicts conditions that determine current market conditions. I use this graph throughout the video to help me explain how the market has changed. A diagonal line splits the graph, with the supply of homes for sale shown on the bottom and the number of buyers shown at the top. The relative supply of homes for sale, which is the supply of homes relative to the current rate of demand and measured in months of supply of homes, is shown at the bottom. It is the relative supply of homes for sale that helps us determine whether or not the market favors buyers or sellers. When sellers outnumber buyers, we call this a buyer's market. When buyers outnumber sellers, we call this a seller's market. A balanced market exists when the number of buyers is equivalent to 6 months of inventory, 6 months of supply of homes for sale. So let's start with how to negotiate in a strong seller's market like we're seeing today. When there are fewer than 4 months of supply of homes for sale, buyers heavily outweigh sellers, and we refer to this as a strong seller's market. Here's how you should prepare to negotiate when these conditions exist. For home sellers, these are the conditions you dream of. In fact, these are the conditions for which you are most prepared because most home sellers face all market conditions as if it's a strong seller's market. Sellers instinctively believe that their home is the only game in town, and they often miss the market on pricing because of their single-minded focus on their own home. As a seller, the smartest plan requires you to lure as many buyers as possible to your home so you can get them competing for the right to be top bidder. This is pretty easy to do. You just don't make the mistake of overpricing your home, as this will result in chasing away buyers that could end up being part of the group that bids the final buyer to the highest price possible. The key is to ensure as much competition as possible so that you can select the best buyer, which is a combination of price and terms. Now, these market conditions are entirely different for home buyers. Buyers instinctively act as if they're in a one-on-one negotiation with the seller and typically want to float a low offer out to see how the seller responds. But guess what? In these market conditions, you're not the only buyer for the home. Your low offer will likely get you eliminated from the pool of buyers who want the home. When you are a buyer in a strong seller's market, get the thought of negotiating with a seller out of your head. This will not be happening in these market conditions. Any ideas you have read or assumed about what the seller will do have no bearing on your negotiation. You want to know why? It's because in extreme seller's market conditions, buyers do not negotiate with sellers. Buyers negotiate with other buyers. Who will pay the most to get this home? Picture an auction house. Are you negotiating with the auctioneer or are you bidding against other buyers? This auction house mentality should be your mindset when you're competing to buy a home in a strong seller's market. You should strategize with a very active and experienced buyer's agent who will help you prepare a winning bid. And when I say active agent, I mean one who's out there in the market today, negotiating many transactions. Experience is great, and you should hire an experienced agent, but if they are not so active today, they will be a liability when it comes time to helping you win the negotiation for a home. There is so much more to the negotiation than producing a big offer. But know that you likely won't even get a chance to change your offer if yours is far below several other buyer offers. The key is to show the seller that you are strong, serious, and capable, and that you're flexible in making it work perfectly for the seller. A highly active buyer's agent will be able to give you the critical guidance that you need when preparing your offer. I am amazed at some of the offers we receive. It's as if the buyer or agent has no understanding of current market conditions. These ill-informed buyers get upset that we don't even counter their offer, but they instead should be upset with themselves for being so poorly prepared. Fortunately, this won't happen to you because you're watching this video in preparation for your next real estate transaction, right? My local market area is not entirely in a strong seller's market. In fact, there are several areas and price ranges that are experiencing slight seller's market conditions. When there are between 4 and 5.5 months of supply of homes for sale, buyers slightly outweigh sellers, and we'll refer to this as a slight seller's market. Here's how you should prepare to negotiate when these conditions exist. For home sellers in a slight seller's market, understand that buyers slightly outnumber sellers. That means there are fewer homes available than what buyers normally would find, and that means smart sellers can get their homes sold fast and for top dollar. Unlike strong seller's market conditions where sellers can expect to generate multiple offers, sellers in a slight seller's market aren't as likely to see that happen. Instead, they have to prepare to make that happen. Without going off on a tangent, sellers need to create competition for their neighborhood stalker, and I've included a link below so that you can learn more about this very important buyer. We know there's somebody ready to buy in the neighborhood, and they will be at your home the moment it is listed. This happens when inventory is fairly tight and when a buyer loses out on a home where they want to live, so they keep stalking the neighborhood waiting for the next listing to appear. Because slight seller's market conditions have not created a frenzy among buyers, it is very likely that this will be your only serious visitor within the first few days. My experience has taught me that the very first buyer to see your home is the one most likely to pay you the most money for it. This buyer has been prowling the neighborhood, waiting for the next listing to hit the market. All other listings have already been viewed, rejected, or lost to other buyers, so this buyer is ready, willing, and able to give you top dollar for your home. But this buyer is not stupid, and this buyer wants to negotiate. This is why it's imperative we create the appearance of high demand for your home. Weeks should be spent pre-marketing the home so that the stalker is not the only buyer who knows about it the day it goes live in the MLS. If you succeed in generating more buyers, then the stalker will know that there's competition, and the stalker will do what it takes to not lose your home. If you create this early demand, then you can follow my negotiation guidance from a strong seller's market conditions. But if you overprice your home or just spring it quickly on the market, then you'll likely need to prepare to get a lower offer than you would like. My guidance for sellers is to play the role of bully. Price your home aggressively and then make buyers step up and surpass your terms. If you do not price your home correctly, then you risk a long delay on the market and you'll likely start to attract bottom feeders who hit you occasionally with lowball offers. This is no way to sell a home. For home buyers, you can still get a good deal in a slight seller's market. You just have to be prepared. Take the time to work with a great buyer's agent who can help you be prepared to move fast, and then take your time reviewing the availability of homes. It's important for you to have a great understanding of value, because if you make the wrong offer on a home in these market conditions, you'll lose leverage with the seller. Remember, there are more buyers than sellers, so the seller is not going to want to deal with somebody making unrealistic requests on terms or property improvements, so the key is to make a compelling offer. This is one that is likely less than the seller could receive if the seller would wait for the next buyer, but so good that the seller does not want to lose you. Again, with more buyers than sellers in the market, you have to be able to move fast and to know what a home is worth. This happens through proper preparation and the use of a high-quality, highly active buyer's agent. Now let's move to a market that is balanced, or what we refer to as market equilibrium, where neither buyers nor sellers have an advantage due to current conditions. When there are between 5.5 months and 6.5 months of supply of homes for sale, there's an equivalent number of buyers and sellers in the market. Here's how you should prepare to negotiate when these conditions exist. For home sellers, even in a balanced market, you should make it a seller's market. How do you do this? You make your home the best deal on the market. It's counterintuitive, but it works. If you price your home slightly below its market value, won't you attract more buyers than any other seller? If you do, then you can follow my guidance for selling a home in a slight seller's market, because that is exactly the conditions you have created with smart pricing. Now, I know you might be thinking, what if it doesn't sell? Or what if I just get one full price offer? Do I have to accept it? If you price your home below market and it attracts little or no attention, then something is wrong. Either you have hired the wrong listing agent or you have made a mistake on its true market value. It has to be one of those two things. There are plenty of active buyers during market equilibrium, so if your home is truly a deal, you will attract multiple buyers and be able to produce a small bidding war for your home. It's your agent's job to pre-market and then market your home to raise awareness, but it's the asking price that you set that determines whether or not buyers see it as a good enough deal to pursue. So if you're in a balanced market and you set an aggressive price, you should get buyers competing for your home. If they're not, talk to your agent about what's being done to market the home. If you don't see the real estate company using an aggressive, omni-channel marketing plan, then you need to hire a better real estate company. I've included a link below to an article that fully outlines the components of an omni-channel marketing strategy for your home. Now, if you're a buyer preparing to negotiate on a home in a balanced market, you should first understand that you'll likely be at a disadvantage to the seller. Why? Because in a balanced market, there's usually a small segment of the homes for sale that are priced aggressively, whereas the remaining homes are priced at or above the market. So if you find a home that you love, it's likely priced very well, and thus it's likely that another buyer has found it too. In situations like this, you need to follow the guidance I've provided for buying a home in a slight seller's market condition. Now, when you find a home that has been on the market for some time and has been slowly lowering the asking price over time, then they will have eliminated a lot of buyer competition for you, and you will likely have a good chance of gaining some ground with the seller. Seek advice of your buyer's agent and make a compelling offer. On the chance that you find a grossly overpriced home, you should avoid it like the plague. There's only one way you'll own that home, and it requires you to pay more money than the home is worth. My experience has taught me that overpriced sellers are not yet motivated to sell their homes, so there's no effective way to negotiate them out of the clouds and down to the ground. If you badly want their home, you'll need to pony up and pay them an above market price, or wait the months or years that it takes for their motivation to change. Now let's discuss how we go about negotiations in a slight buyer's market. When there are between 6.5 months and 8 months of supply of homes for sale, there are more sellers than buyers in the market. Here's how you should prepare to negotiate when these conditions exist. When you're selling a home in a slight buyer's market, you have to understand that there are more sellers than buyers, and that means that some homes are just not going to sell. In order to succeed, you need to realize that you're not going to be negotiating with a buyer. Rather, you're going to be negotiating with other sellers as to who will lower their price to be the best buy on the block. There will be more than one home that fits the needs of every buyer, so you are essentially negotiating with those other sellers as to who will make their home the most enticing. To do this, you must have an excellent understanding of the market for your specific home at the time you go to market. Remember, every market is a seller's market, so use that to your advantage to sell your home fast and for top dollar, even when market conditions are not favorable. Top dollar might not be what you want to get for the home, but there's an amount that is the most you can expect to get, and that should be your target. For home buyers, it's much more fun to buy a home when the market is weighted in your favor, but that does not guarantee that you'll get a great deal. The majority of homes listed for sale are going to be priced incorrectly, and it's likely that you will be drawn to the home or homes that are properly priced. This means you need to have a great understanding of value before you start making offers on homes. Make sure you hire a super competent buyer's agent. You need somebody who truly understands current valuations, not some brand new rookie and not some seasoned agent that no longer sells very many homes. The best buys typically are known about before they hit the market, so your best bet is finding the buyer's agent who is super active and has his or her finger on the pulse of the market. When you find the home you want, be decisive and stay in control of the negotiation. Remember, there are more sellers than buyers, so the seller does not want to lose you. Do not lowball this seller. If you make an offer you know the seller will not accept, you'll have passed control back to the seller. The market conditions give you an advantage. Don't throw it all away because you don't know what to offer. Finally, let's look at strong buyer's market conditions. When there are more than 8 months of supply of homes for sale, there are significantly more sellers than buyers in the market. Here's how you should prepare to negotiate when these conditions exist. If you're selling a home, then these will be trying times for you. It's critical that you hire a very active and busy agent that you completely trust, and then do what he or she says. In 2012, we saw that more than one half of the homes that hit the market failed to sell, so getting a home sold was frustrating, to say the least. What I found during these times was that there were home sellers who failed to recognize their loss. They felt that if they waited to sell their home, then they wouldn't lose money. Unfortunately, that's not really how it works. Whether or not you sell your home, it does have a specific market value, and that's what it's worth on that day. That value typically is rising, but during extreme market cycles, it could be falling. If you want to move, do not let the home you own you. If values are falling, sell the home and move to where you want to live. It's likely that home values are falling there too. For most home sellers, it made more sense to sell and move to where they wanted to live to enjoy the market recovery in their new home, rather than stay in the home they wanted to sell until the market recovered. Staying in a home does not stop the home from losing its value. For home buyers, extreme buyer's market conditions are actually tough times for buyers too. It is highly likely that homes are falling in value, so be prepared to feel like any decision you make is a bad one. This underlying feeling could cause you to make a huge mistake, so that is why I mentioned it specifically before addressing negotiation tactics. My biggest tip for buyers when negotiating in a strong buyer's market is to avoid the temptation to win a negotiation, and instead take on the mindset that you're going to go out and get the best home that your budget will allow. There's a huge difference between these two mindsets. The former has the buyer trying to take a pound of flesh from the seller, whereas the latter has the buyer focusing on his or her own needs. I always encourage buyers to focus on the result, not the process. I would rather pay 100% of the asking price in a buyer's market to get the best home for my family than I would paying 75% for a home that is not as well suited to my needs or wants. Remember, the seller gets to set the asking price, and even in a strong buyer's market, you could find a seller that has priced the home to create a seller's market. It often happens with foreclosure sales, and they receive multiple offers even in high inventory conditions. As a buyer, remember that it's not about the negotiation and it's not about the seller. Smart buyers focus on the outcome, which means where will you be living and what did you have to spend. The need for accurate value assessment requires you to have a highly active buyer's agent who will help you understand current market values. You are not likely going to be able to get an overpriced home seller to come down greatly on their price. My experience gained over the past 30 years has taught me that unrealistic sellers have low motivation to sell and that only time can erode their asking price as motivation begins to rise. This means that you will find thousands of homes for sale in a seller's market, but the majority of them will be overpriced and not truly ready to be seen or purchased. Avoid these homes. They will only cause you frustration unless you don't mind overpaying for a home. Stick with the homes that you and your agent think are priced appropriately, and then be prepared to make a compelling offer. Remember that sellers have control of the market at the onset of a negotiation. If they have priced aggressively, you might even have to pay full price or higher to get the home, even in a strong buyer's market. But if the sellers have made the mistake of pricing at or above the market, you can take control of the negotiation. You will be tempted to lowball the seller to see what the seller will do, but do not give them that chance. Have your agent do an analysis on the home to come up with the price that your agent thinks it will sell, whether to you or to another buyer. Then you make an offer very close to that amount. That's what I call a compelling offer. A seller will have conflicting thoughts when receiving your compelling offer. They know that they might chase you away if they counter, yet they also believe they might be able to get more from another buyer. This is what makes the offer so compelling. By being so close to what they could receive from another buyer, your offer will activate their fear of loss and likely get them to accept a lower offer than what the home is worth. This is why compelling offers work, yet lowball offers fail. Lowball offers do not activate the fear of loss, thus they are ignored and force you to resign control of the negotiation. Even if you come back with a compelling offer afterward, you'll have shown your hand to the seller, and they know that they can counter your offer up to the full market value of the home. They know you want it real badly, and now you'll have to pay. I hope this video has been helpful to you. As you have learned, your negotiation style must reflect the conditions that you find out in the market, and you have to be prepared for differing conditions on different homes. A homeowner has the ability to price a home in a manner that makes a buyer highly reactive. Of course, the opposite is true too. The home seller can price a home too high and give the buyer a great advantage in the negotiation. Ultimately, a well-prepared consumer working alongside a highly active real estate agent can conspire to ensure that the consumer gains the best outcome possible from a real estate transaction. If you would like to see more videos about current housing market conditions, I've assembled a great playlist that you can view by clicking on the box on the top left corner of your screen. For a playlist of my top tips for home buyers, just click on the box below it. Please remember to like this video, check out the links below it, and subscribe to our channel so that you never miss anything.